Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum. Most importantly, if you'd like to join this discussion right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Slick James Johnson. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
We're also joined by Chocolate Saying. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you guys doing?
The people who have you over the weekend, Chocolate, get like the dulcet tones, the soothing Barry White sound of Chocolate Saying. When we get you, we get the at work on a phone. Not quite so sexy.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No apologies needed. It's just you sound like a totally different person. So I'm like, yeah, who's this smooth radio presenter that Ranty or Arwin's got on? Oh, it's Chocolate.
That's funny. Yep. How about that?
Damn it, that's the third time my mic's clipped. I don't know. I'm not going to fiddle with
There
it
you
now.
go.
I'm going to resist the temptation and just be a bit quieter.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not using my my wonderful Bluetooth.
Fancy giving
What's
the
up, Slick?
housekeeping
How you
a go?
doing, man?
Oh,
Hey,
you all good
Chuck,
with that?
what's happening? What's happening?
My bad,
What's
sorry.
up, brother?
Do you two not talk over the weekend? You're not in each other's Discord servers and other weekend shows?
I'm
The
sorry,
only
I didn't
son-
hear you, Nathan.
Do your paths cross is the question.
Do our paths cross?
Yeah, you and Chocolate. Do you see each other
Oh.
over the weekend in Discord servers and various other shows that run, or is it just here that you two interact?
Just here.
Yeah, so far it's just been here.
Fair enough.
The only other server I ever go on is what's it, Jim Pandas. See, when I go on servers, I go to beat people up. I'm not going to have a good time and that kind of thing. So I look for where I can beat people up, and right now that's the only spot I can find where there's a lot of people to beat up on.
Fair enough. I thought that was the main purpose of them, which is why I tend to steer clear of Discord. I mean, I've recently used it because the first Ballbusters, we used Hangouts to allow people to like phone in. Ultimately, I want them to be able to have the same facility to just join. But it just, all that ended up happening was the people who were in the Hangout together rumpused each other and ended up arguing amongst themselves in the green room. So it's like, okay, well, we need something a bit better than that. So Discord will be used for the public bit where they get to ask a question or express their views in terms of whatever's been discussed on Ballbusters at the end of each one. But other than that, I'm not going to use Discord. I've got no desire. When it first came out or was first shown to me, I had a look for a while and just thought this is poison because they're all like that. No offense to you, Slick, but they're all looking for a fight. That's what people are in there for. Or at least that's how it seemed to me.
Well, I know I'm one of them. I'm looking for a fight, so that's what I go in there for, just to find anybody who's willing to step in the ring.
Stuff. Kind of, excuse the phrase, but mental masturbation because it's obviously not being broadcast, right? Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
AE.
I didn't hear the last part, but you said broadcast?
Yeah, because it's not being broadcast, essentially it's like, other than the memes and stuff that might go by in the chat that you could go back to and refer to, it's just a conversation like a phone call, right?
Yes, exactly.
So it's not brought, there's nobody going to go and see you beating up on Globers in Discord. It's for your own mental stimulation. Hey, Paul?
Yes.
Well, the one I join sometimes, the 24/7 one, they do actually broadcast that one on YouTube. So.
Oh, okay.
That actually does go out live.
Oh, cool.
So that's the only one.
I
I haven't been in Gem Panda's server yet. I've been in the 24/7 one.
Yeah, you're not missing out on that Gem Panda server. When I walk in there, I've been in there like I think maybe twice, and just all that happens is just the memes come up, and it's like no point in going in there when they're just there to try and hurt.
Wow, memes.
Yeah, it's
like that's
even, they do it with intention to hurt, offend, and it's like, why would anybody want to go in there?
Well, I have a good time in there myself.
No, I don't have a good time in there. I don't find it encouraging to be appalled. I'd rather go to the dentist and have a filling.
Well, maybe, you just have to have a bully mentality. I have a bully mentality, so it's fun for me.
Fair enough. At least you're honest.
You're on housekeeping?
Nope, not yet.
Rattle through it then. Come on, quick.
Okay. Any signs of Earth-based curvature?
None. Only in maths.
Anybody else who's been on the circuit over the weekend? Chocolate, maybe? No signs of curvature. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Definitely none. If it starts with rotation, you're a moron.
Nope, no rotation.
Scientific evidence of gravity?
Nothing whatsoever. It's just a belief.
They can't even define gravity. If you try and look at what gravity actually is, it's really difficult to get a concise answer that's consistent across the whole. When they say like the whole of the information of the world's internet is all at your fingertips, just try finding out what gravity means. You don't get a consistent answer.
So no scientific evidence of it then?
Can't even get a definition, let alone evidence.
What about the distance to the sun? They claim there is a measured distance.
No, the sun doesn't appear to be a tangible object that we can actually triangulate.
Oh, you said a lot there. Be careful about what you're saying there. So when you say the sun doesn't appear to be a tangible object, I would be careful with that statement.
Look up tangible. You can't really argue with that one, Slick. Look up tangible. See what it says, and tell me.
No. When I say that, I mean like not in a holographic sense. I know Arwen likes to call it a hologram, like not really there. That's in that sense is what I'm talking about.
But by definition, the sun is intangible. By definition.
Yeah, let me read my position just for the clarity's sake. The sun doesn't appear to be a tangible object. It doesn't even appear to be physical. It can be metaphysical.
Yeah, by definition, the sun is intangible.
I agree.
But no clarity on that measured distance they claim for that intangible object then? No? Weeds.
I got to look into this intangible
Fair enough.
definition a little bit more.
Just look up the definition of tangible, and then you'll have to come back with it. Well, yeah, it's not tangible based on that definition.
The problem that Slick's used to, it's now become a trained reaction. So Arwen says there is no distance to the sun. Well, that you can't really claim. Measured distance, yeah, fine. Nobody's got a measured distance for the sun, and the sun is by definition intangible. But to say that means that somebody won't ever, or that it is definitely not, well, that's a bit unreasonable. And I think that's generally Slick's issue with Arwen's statement. There is no distance to the sun, no measured distance. Fine.
But answer me this. But when you say intangible, is that saying that it's not an actual physical object? Is that what that means or no?
What have you got for? Let's just look it up.
Tangible.
Wouldn't that just mean that? Sorry, go ahead.
Tangible means perceptible by touch, and we can't touch the sun, so it lacks that. That means that it's not tangible. But then we're left with physical. Is the sun physical? Well, how would anybody know whether the sun's physical? Icarus tried to fly there, right? But how can we tell whether it's physical or not? It just looks like light.
Right. So that's clear. In other words, now I'm clear on it. We're separating tangible from physical. That was my point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it may
either
be.
Way.
That's why. Sorry to interrupt, Anthony.
Yeah,
that's why
because it could be
phrasing.
physical without being tangible, right? It could be a physical thing, but if we can't touch it and examine it, it's not tangible by us, right?
Right, which is why Anthony's got a few weasel words in, rather than just saying, as I have, that it's intangible. Anthony adds a few weasel words in, which is good. They need to be there.
Yeah, I'm more clear now.
Just say your statement again, Anthony.
I can't remember exactly what I said, but the sun doesn't.
The sun may not be a tangible item.
You said it's a light.
Yeah, it's a light. As far as we're concerned, it's like when people are like, "Oh, you deny the sun." No, there's the sun. I can see it right now. It's a light in the sky. What do I know beyond that? Well, sod all.
It has a circuit.
The thing is, if it was physical and it had a physical presence, you would be able to triangulate it. You would be able to multiple people would be able to triangulate it. However, you can't do that. Now, Slice Arcane claims that you can, but the reality is, if you put the other ends of if you're new to this, you won't understand this, but Slice Arcane did a multiple observer observation where they all measured the angle to the sun. And what he didn't show was where all the lines lined up. But he claims that he doesn't need to show that because it proves that it's a distant object. Well, our point is, it proves also that it's you can't triangulate it, because yes, you can assume it's a distant object and that there's a bit of human error in there to explain why they don't line up. But we would also say, well, the fact that they don't line up means that there's an issue there, because it also supports the idea or the assertion that the sun's not physical. It doesn't triangulate.
But it's also claimed to be in a vacuum, so is there any evidence that we can have a gas pressure without a container, given that there's lots of people who believe in the vacuum of the sky, otherwise known as outer space?
Well, nope. I was having a discussion or a disagreement with a ball earther, and Nathan, perhaps you could help me with this one, even though I've already spoke to you, but don't tell people we've already spoke about it. Let's pretend as though it's natural. We were talking about our position is that you can't have gas pressure without a container, and the ball earth has said, but the necessary antecedent for the atmospheric pressure is gravity. And I'm like, right, but we can demonstrate that you can have gas pressure in a container, and if you remove the container, you don't have the gas pressure anymore. But you guys, how are you going to demonstrate that you've got gravity to hold the atmosphere onto the earth? So we can demonstrate the container creates the gas pressure, but you can't demonstrate the gravity creates atmospheric pressure. So which is the stronger argument? One that we can demonstrate, or one that we just guess?
Well, one is the necessary antecedent. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
So how do you respond if they say, well, gravity is the necessary antecedent for atmospheric pressure?
Yeah, I get that every time someone comes on and we assert this and they challenge it. Show me a demonstration of gravity. And when John makes this argument, I'll credit him fully. He says you can have both. You can have Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity at 100% full effect. Now demonstrate gas pressure being maintained by way of gravity without a container, the necessary antecedent for gas pressure in the first instance. Now that's an absolute certitude. You can't have gas pressure without a container. That's easy to demonstrate. Demonstrating gravity, on the other hand, no, there is no demonstration of gravity. It's a mathematical construct. The bending of space-time. Einsteinian bollocks.
Yeah, that's what. Go on.
It's a theory.
Didn't you do that to fight the flat Earth? Didn't you tell them? I mean, you could have both, whatever gravity you want. Just demonstrate it, holding on to gas pressure without a
Yeah.
container. You still couldn't answer that.
That's where we're at with flat Earth.
Hey, 10th man.
Good morning.
Good to have you. It's
Hey.
because you've got your icon's
I've-
always black, so I never notice you're here.
Well, it's yeah, I know, because when I got on, you didn't notice it, so I figured you couldn't see me. But I feel baptized in the Oakley show when I got sniped last week.
you had your first sniping experience.
Well, it's not my first, but it's the first one where I was the only one, and then the rest of you went on, which was the right thing to do.
I think the new version of OBS just doesn't allow the mic to overload. So if I accidentally overload the mic and it's about to clip, I think OBS steps in. Sorry, I'm just watching my mic line get completely turned off when it overloads. Maybe it's just a new feature of OBS. Anyway, sorry to distract off the subject. You feel privileged to be sniped, you say? Don't
Yes,
be. Don't
yes,
be.
yes, thank you.
It's not good.
Well, when you live on
Welcome
property,
to the show.
all you got. Yeah, thank you. When you live on property, you got rattlesnakes or coyotes, maybe a lynx every now and then, or a cougar. But to be sniped, in theory, by these gravity lovers, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's the gravity that's the issue, right? I'm happy to accept that if they can demonstrate gravity, right, I'd be on their side, because it would explain, demonstrate, and prove that you could have an atmospheric pressure. But the inability to do that is a problem. But we can demonstrate gas pressure within a container. That doubles the problem for them. It's not that it's not just that they've got no evidence. It's that they can't. We can demonstrate the alternative. That's powerful. So anybody that thinks that you can have gravity, then unless you can demonstrate it, it's just a story.
Hey, UK Truth.
Hi, Nathan.
Good to have you.
Well, I've never seen anyone buy a vacuum cleaner without the plastic container or the bag.
I've never seen anybody buy a tin of deodorant that's just got this stuff inside and not the tin.
I've never seen a tyre pressure without the tyre.
I've never seen an ocean without a coast.
That's not gas pressure. Fail, get off.
Well, it is because they treat gases as fluids, don't they? And liquids
No,
are
that's
fluid.
total nonsense. So yes, they might be arbitrarily assigned as being that term, in the same way we're all mammals, aren't we, Anthony? An arbitrary definition that's been applied to certain groups of things. But no, they are no similar than solids are the same as liquids. They have no bonds. They are free to roam of their own volition in any direction. Water has bonds. The two are totally different. Even though they're arbitrarily labelled as fluids, it does not mean that a gas is the same as a liquid. It's not. There's no bonds. Hence, the gas can travel in all directions, expanding to fill the container, unlike water.
No, you are right to contrast liquids from gases, because the bonds, I agree. However, they do describe the atmosphere as a fluid. And what my point is that you can't have the oceans without a shoreline. All the oceans are contained with the shorelines all over the world. So on the one hand, yeah, you're right, but on the other hand, it still does apply to the liquids. The gases conform to fluid dynamics.
Hey, Mind Warped.
That was me, sorry.
Hey, Mind Warped, how you doing?
Hey, how you going?
Very well.
That's good.
I subscribed to you.
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks. Did you see the upload today of the drone footage?
I didn't.
Yeah, I've already got a copyright strike.
Oh, really? What for?
Just the platform that I use, like, to get the licenses for my music. YouTube picks up that it's owned by a certain person. You've got to prove that you have a subscription. So, yeah, it's unmonetized. So until I can prove it, it takes 30 days, which is annoying, but it'll work out hopefully.
But your channel's not monetized anyway. It's not got anywhere near enough subscribers, so who cares?
No, exactly, yeah. But it just means if it is an ongoing thing that I have to keep going through, because I use this subscription, it's going to be an issue. So I have to try and work something out.
Yeah, or you can use, there is a library that YouTube offer you. All you've got to do is actually list the person who's giving you the music. That's for anybody else, maybe not necessarily you if you've already got a means, you've just got to work out, but just for anybody watching, if you want to stick music on, just use the library. There's a whole library of music that YouTube offer that's royalty free. The only thing you need to do is actually link to the person who's made the material in the first instance in the info box, and I think that's it. And then you can still monetize your video as you would normally, and then you've got cool music, and there's a whole bunch of it. So anyway, just for anybody who's a videographer watching.
Yeah, I do have a thing like that. It's called Inverted Elements, and it's got really, really good stuff. And I've got the licenses, but I have to copy it over, and it takes a while for them to get through it. So that's all. Other than that, all good.
Cool. I'll see if I can find a link to your channel.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So where were we in the housekeeping? I think we were up to gas pressure without a container. Any evidence of a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Absolutely none.
Nothing at all.
Only cartoons in the textbook.
Deepest hole that's ever been dug's only about 8 miles. How do they know what's below us?
I hold out so much hope for the molten iron core. What about the R value, the presupposition of Earth radius?
None.
Well, they gave us the circumference, but it doesn't match 8 inches per mile squared. So what's it worth?
Well, 8 inches per mile squared. They correct it, don't they? They flatten it out with a little bit of maths, because basically with 8 inches per mile squared, yeah, we're seeing a load of stuff that we shouldn't be seeing. So they need a little bit of maths to flatten it out, regardless of how true it actually is. They apply what they say. What they say is a straight line that we see. They say it's not actually straight. They say it's a curve, and it's just enough to make it like a little bit obscure. But 76R, the correction for 8 inches per mile squared is a bit of maths. Light doesn't travel in a curve in the atmosphere. There's no evidence to support that that's true. And even if it was true, there's no evidence to prove that the light's following a curved path over a curve, because light can curve on a flat plane as well. And that can explain why we don't always see as far as what we think we can, if it is actually true. Because sometimes the light would be falling into our feet before getting into our eyes, and we wouldn't see it. So it's like, well, a bit of maths doesn't explain or doesn't prove ball. It's just a bit of maths.
Well, I think they're put themselves in a bit of a corner because they've already stated the substance. It's 24,901 miles. And then when you break that down, it doesn't work. So now they got to say something isn't something they already say it is.
Yeah, bit of maths.
Well, what Anthony's describing is the use
They probably
of...
would have been better off just leaving it vague, saying we don't really know, could just be bigger, whatever. But instead, they gave us an exact number, and now when we match that number against reality, it doesn't work. There's no curvature.
to 10 to the minus 17 Tor for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. So what I was going to say is Anthony's describing the fact that when you look out into the distance, like this picture on screen now, you are presented with linear perspective. So it goes at a constant rate into the distance. That's how perspective works. What the curve calculators have done is applied a geometric calculation, a side profile. So if this was being represented by the curve calculators, you'd have the side of your own head if it was depicted how the mathematics work. So side profile, so that you can ignore the aspect of linear perspective. And then what they redefine that as is a curve. The problem being that the further you go out, the more exponential the increase of that curve, unlike the reality of linear perspective. So they have to basically flatten it back out again towards the end with this 7/6R terrestrial refraction, an arbitrary value that's attributed to the begging the question radius value, in order to achieve just that, a flattening out of this curve that they imply is actually linear perspective. So a regular linear distribution of the view into the distance, as opposed to it curving into the distance, which it does not. So that's why they've got to apply 7/6R.
Right.
I think the whole...
But go ahead. Slick.
No, that's okay.
They can do all the math they want, but if you and I are at the seashore excuse me, if you and I at the seashore, we can twist our head to the side, either side, and even behind us, depending what's there. But for sure, in front, looking at the horizon and to the right and left of it, we're never going to see this little theory and little math trick of theirs.
What I think they're trying to do is they're trying to take reality and put it into the imagination, because the imagination can be manipulated, but reality can't.
They're quite brazen when they say, oh, it's just simple geometry. It's like, well, the world that we view isn't viewed in geometric terms. It's viewed in perspective terms. Something that's entirely ignored when you say it's simple geometry. It's not. It's linear perspective, not simple geometry, excluding perspective, then flattened out by an arbitrary 7/6r when the exponential nature of the curve gets a bit problematic. So, that's a whole horse shit pile that you don't have to use to observe reality. And reality includes perspective, unlike these geometric calculations.
It's really gotten bad when they say, yes, you do see a flat, straight Earth, but it's really round.
I have a video that I have a video that I'd like to share. Mind Warped has just put inside chat. If any of you guys need drone footage for an observation, let me know. Are you listening, Mind Warp?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, Nathan. And what I want people in chat to do is go and subscribe to this guy, because this guy is cool. Share that. His name's Heliocentric Suicide. He's only a new channel. He's only got 17 subs. And he needs to have a little bit more subs, because I think this one video that he's got is quite interesting. And I'd like Mind Warp to go and repeat it, because I want to see whether he gets the same results. Because this guy's got a drone. And what he shows is that when he rises, the horizon rises to eye level. Well, whatever. Take that bit loosely. He's got these arrows that are fixed on screen. And as he rises, the horizon rises with him, right? It doesn't drop. Now, the argument was that the pitch of the gimbal was obviously changing whilst he was doing the altitude rise. And he's got on screen now showing that the gimbal did not change. So basically what he's saying is that if it's a ball, it should literally start to fall away from you, right? Straight away. But for some reason, it appears to rise. Now, this is supported by Walter Bisslin's calculator, the curve calculator that he's done. That's what he says should happen on a plane. So what he's done is he's tested it. He's gone to see whether or not, because I didn't know whether this had happened or not. If somebody said to me, would this do this? I would have said, no, it'd go the other way a little bit down, because that was just my view on it. So basically he's gone and done it, and he's not got it to support the ball. He's got it to support flat, and Walter Bisslin's calculator supports it. So what I've done is I've passed it to Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and I've asked him would he have a go of repeating it with his drone, with his own drone. And the problem he's got is that the visibility recently has been shocking. Even though the weather's good, the visibility has been naff. So I'm just putting it out to more people that have drones. Just go and do this test. Set your gimbal so that it's fixed to the horizon. Put it in the middle of the picture, and then just see what happens when you rise. Because if it's a ball, it has to drop away.
I can repeat that easily, but can you just play that again?
Can you make it full screen, please?
It is full screen.
It kind of does look like the gimbal's moving, but hey, I don't know. Just from years of using the drone, it just doesn't look like it.
I agree. It looks like the gimbal's moving, and that was the retort that Red's Rhetoric and Fight the Flat Earth gave him back, saying, "Yeah, the gimbal's moving, dickhead." And he was like, "No, the gimbal's not moving. I can prove it." So what he did was he let me go back to the one where he showed it. He went and did it again with, I think it was this one. No, it was the third one.
Shout out to Flat Earth Moon Bear for the super chat. He says Nathan is ace. Thank you very much. I'll take that compliment all day long.
So here we go. You can see that the horizon is clearly rising, right? For whatever reason, right? And it does look like the gimbal's moving, right? So in response to criticisms that the gimbal was moving, he went out and he did it again. And now he's showing that the pitch on the gimbal, the gimbal pitch did not change at all. He fixed it. So there's no movement in the gimbal. It's a fraction of a movement. Presumably it's caused by wind maybe or whatever. But there's no movement in it. It's 1.55304. I don't know whether this counts as a movement here where it changes, perhaps. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't really understand what I'm looking at here. But he said that there was no...
Where did he get these? Because on my drone, I don't know where I can get this kind of information. But, I mean, if you have a look on the video I've got there, I've gone up to about... That's not very high either. Like, you need to go a lot higher than that. It looks like he's only flown up about 50 to 100 meters max.
Well, that's why I'm asking, would you try it and see what you get?
Yeah, definitely. I'll fly up heaps higher than that. Like,
yeah, that's what I said. The other thing that we could do as well is put a solar filter on it and then see what size the sun is at the horizon when you're down low, and then shoot up as high as you can get. Shoot up as high as you can get and see what size the sun is from elevation, and then see does it actually change size when you go up in elevation.
But you know why this happens, right? Same reason it happens on, or same reason the book disappears or the light disappears on the angle of attack video. You lower your elevation and your horizon is nearer in the foreground because you've got a reduced angle. So obviously if you increase your elevation, you're going to force that out further. And in the case of the small scale version of this, the book that had vanished will reappear at the bottom of the cupboards in my video that disappeared to angle. They go into the near or mid foreground rather than the background because you've changed your angle. Well,
I actually think the issue that they've got on that video there is where he's placed those markers. He's actually not got them on the horizon. He's got them quite far in, and you don't really notice until he comes up a little bit that those markers should be really... He should be putting that marker back once he gets up to that, about 50 meters high, then place the marker. So then you've got nothing in the way. And that's where he should be placing the marker now, and then go up from there.
I don't think the position of the markers is important, the exact position, because they're relative, aren't they? As long as the markers are not moving, it doesn't matter where they're positioned. You can see relative to the markers that they're not, that the horizon appears to be changing. All I'm saying is that it's an interesting observation. Let's see if other people can. It is a good observation.
Well,
I wonder if you can apply that to one of that link that I put up there. I go up like at least three times as high as that. So you can probably try it out for yourself on that link that I put through. You can try even giving us a shout out if you want.
What? You see this when you're on an airplane going up, when you look out the window.
DITRH made a comment. I'm sorry, Temple. Go ahead.
I said, oh, it's all right. I said, every time you go up in an airplane, just stick your eyes out the window, and as it's going up, the same thing happens. This is just proving the horizon rises to the eye level.
Sorry, bear with me. Right, just before you go off his channel, can you just click on his link for share, copy the link for this video, and just put it in the chat, Anthony, just so people can go subscribe to him. He's only got like a handful of subscribers.
Yes. Share.
If you can copy that link, just
share a link. Share what link? I don't see a link.
Yeah.
Has that gone wrong?
I have done yours mind warped. So I'll just address this super chat. So Leonardo de Gonzalez, thank you very much first of all for the super chat. It says, hey Nathan, you should go over to Owen Benjamin's or get in touch with him. He's looking for a professional in Flat Earth to talk to. I was on his live stream when he said that, and I immediately emailed him. And then somebody else sent me a contact via Patreon with a slightly alternative email address. And again, I dropped through a copy-paste of the same email saying I'm the man to talk to. And in my humble opinion, I am the best person to have that conversation with Owen Benjamin. I'll come back onto that because I don't want to lose the point with this heliocentric suicide while we try and figure out how to get a link for it. Embarrassing. But ultimately, Anthony, below where it says share a link, there should just be it should just have the copy link. I'm surprised it's not there. Weird.
Oh,
there you go.
Because it was zoomed in.
It's because, yeah, there you go. So if you can stick that in the chat and then people can go subscribe to him. Yes, Mind Warped, I will also stick your link in. So I've done that before and I'll do it again now.
I can't place a link in chat.
Of course you can. I can just approve it, Anthony. Just stick it in and I'll approve it.
Okay.
So Mind Warped, that's the one that I've just stuck in. And then this is Heliocentric Suicide, which is the video with the drone footage and the arrows that we've just been watching. So hopefully Anthony will post that in the chat and you can go and subscribe to him. He's got like 30 subscribers And I hate to see it when people are actually doing content like that they've got so few. So yes, please do go subscribe to both Mind Warped and Heliocentric Suicide, who are both going to be doing nice observations. Is that one of your videos, Mind Warped?
It is. That's just the one that I put up today. So
I'll make it full screen.
In the background if you want.
Yeah, you're on in your full screen. So Anthony's just put the link in. I've just approved it. So I don't know if you want to do it just once more, Anthony, just so I can approve it twice.
Anthony.
So while that's going on, so Ebon Kim says, Owen Benjamin will never debate anybody about Flat Earth. No, he specifically said he wanted to talk to Eric Dubay. Then Eric Dubay did his usual Eric Dubay thing and started calling him a shill. I don't know this firsthand. It's purely what I've got off the back of Owen Benjamin himself describing what Eric Dubay did. Now, on the inside, we all know what Eric Dubay's like, so not really a surprise to any of us. But his audience still wants to talk or see him talk Flat Earth with somebody. Now, I'd like to be that man. I think I'm the best person to do it. I relate to Owen Benjamin in a lot of what he says, and I think I'd have a good laugh with him doing so, as opposed to it being Savanier, which is his little bit about Eric Dubay. He's decided to describe him like what's the film Zoolander, where they're all like, he's so hot right now. He's got this character called Savanier. It's like talking about the chat going, oh, is Savanier here right now? Oh my god. You must talk to Savanier. You know. And he started off the skit by describing it like Savanier's come to a house party and he stood outside even though he hasn't RSVP'd, and all the people in the house are like, oh my god, is Savanier here? And Owen Benjamin saying, no, we're just playing a game, right? We're just playing a game of whatever, you know, a party game, and he can wait, you know. And everyone's like, oh no, but you must talk to Savanier. So he goes outside and kills Savanier. He's like, well, now no one's talking to Savanier because I've killed him. I don't know, it's hysterical. Obviously I can't deliver the lines like he does, but nevertheless it was very amusing him describing Eric Dubay like this overprivileged poncy, you know, like the guys out of Zoolanders, like the models. So hot right now.
Who's Eric Dubay?
Eric Dubay is basically the Jesus of Flat Earth. You need to prepare yourself before you speak to Eric Dubay because he will blow your mind. Yeah, basically, he had a back and forth to arrange a time, and from what I gather, Owen Benjamin was like, yeah, I'll get back in touch with you on Monday. Obviously, it'd be good to get to know you a bit better first and chit-chat and all the rest of it. And he's then come into his chat on Monday and gone, I am now ready to talk to you. Why aren't you now talking to me? And at the time, he was talking about Dave and Michael Jackson, the potential of it being replaced with himself, and like all of it, it's them duping Delight, pissing in our faces if it's true. Anyway, he just sort of took offence to Eric wanting to only talk Flat Earth. It's a bit like, if you watch the pre-show to this show, Slick James and I were discussing exactly this. So I was in someone else's stream that was unrelated to Flat Earth, and I'm on the limit of getting banned, in my opinion, even though I'm talking about science in a tech forum, and trying to keep it as much as possible on science and the scientific method and natural laws, so that I'm not, you know, giving Flat Earth rhetoric out. I'm just debating somebody on topic that they've brought up, not me. So I kind of, you know, I'm going to defend myself, but I ultimately want to avoid getting banned. Well, Eric kind of ignored all that sort of, what's the word? It's a bit disrespectful, I suppose, if you just go into someone else's chat when they're talking about something else, even if they've showed a bit of a sign that they want to talk about the subject, and just take over the chat. And I can imagine that being the case, even though I've got limited experience with Dubay. I do know what he's like from friends, so from Patricia and her experiences with him. You know, that's what he's like. I'm sure he's got his reasons and his excuses, and his hordes of minions that go and spam people will justify their actions and have done. And in some instances you think, well, it's justifiable because of the amount of vitriol that Eric Dubay takes. Again, Owen Benjamin detailed that. So very even-handed, one of the reasons I like him. Owen Benjamin, that is, not Eric Dubay. So yeah, hopefully I get to chat to him. I've sent him an email. He gets thousands of emails like me. I've probably got 40, 50,000 unread emails. He's probably got 20, 30, 40 times as many. So if it just slips into the ether and I'll never get to speak to him, it won't be me assuming that he's just a bastard, just that he's got a lot of emails. So I might chase him up again in a week's time. I don't want to pester him. He doesn't seem in any hurry to talk about this subject. But I would definitely like to add that I would like to be that man. Hey, Tanweer Ahmed. Oh, I didn't catch the rest of your name. How you doing? Tanweer, can you hear us?
Gonna get kicked.
He's already been kicked. So bye-bye, Tanweer. You need to say hello if you're going to join the show. So yeah, just so we don't bark on about Owen Benjamin, which I could do. I do find the guy very, very funny. There's lots of other people who have undoubtedly contacted him. Lots of people in the chat were mentioning Dirth's name. I've only been recently subscribed to him. Dirth's been telling me about Owen Benjamin for quite some time. So, maybe he'll talk to Dirth. Equally as good. No, he's not. I'm better. Anyway, let's move on.
Have you guys seen how much Flat Earth stuff is on Netflix at the moment?
I don't have a TV. I don't have Netflix. So no.
How much stuff is on Netflix? What do you mean?
Well, there's a few docos on there, and they're like, Flat Earth, but it's almost like they make it serious to start off with, but then when they edit, the editors do it, they make it out to look like a stupid subject, and it just they do it on purpose.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, first line.
I was watching one the other day, and it had like a lot of famous people on it, famous flat earthers, and the way they edited it just made it look like they were just complete morons. But we know they're not. But yeah, it's just, I think there was a reason why they actually started producing it, just to try and throw people off.
They want the first instinctual reaction to be ridicule, to mock and ridicule and assume we're boneheads or Philistines.
I ran across a video that Neil deGrasse Tyson did, and it said Neil deGrasse Tyson says the Earth is not flat. And it had 4.2 million views. So that means that there's that many people that are interested in the subject.
Well, he thinks it's a pear shape, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, that's exaggerating his point, but it's just interesting that when he makes a video about the Earth not being flat, that many people want to hear about it. That means that there's an interest much bigger than I think people realize.
Nathan, do you remember that field? Do you remember that field kick that somebody scored in the NFL? I think it was, and Neil deGrasse Tyson basically claimed that the Earth moved by 1/4 degree, and that allowed him to get the ball into the goal. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson's a high priest of wizardry, so he gets to use the highest order of doublespeak. So that's an assist to our argument. But he and I will never have that conversation, so it's so disjointed from how we would utilise that. But I cite that. So he is essentially pointing out that you have an apparent deflection. So the ball travels in a straight line, the bullet travels in a straight line, and the Earth rotates underneath. That's the Coriolis effect. In fact, he put it in the tweet. Oh, if it wasn't for the Coriolis effect, I never know. I didn't actually see the tweet. So did the goal get made or lost? I don't know.
It got made. It got made.
I
saw it, and I saw him actually saying what Anthony just said.
So a field goal is made as a result of the Earth turning and moving the goalposts to such a fraction of a degree that it bounces in rather than bounces out. So it's alleged by this high priest of wizardry that the Earth turns underneath the ball. Well, that's our argument. Well, if the Earth turns underneath the ball, it also turns underneath the helicopter and a plane, and the continent you're travelling to would come towards you as you travel towards it. But that doesn't happen. East to west, west to east, they're basically the same flight times, bar tailwinds. Well, that wouldn't be the case. There'd be massive differences if you're on the equator, for example, and the continent that you're travelling to is coming towards you at 1,000 miles an hour. But that doesn't happen. But he can say that. He can actually assert the Earth turns underneath without anybody realising it because he's out of a football game.
The one that I find interesting is when I set my drones to do a half-hour flight, I have them sync their GPS coordinates, and then it takes off, and then if I click land, come home and land, it'll use those exact same coordinates to come and land where it took off. After half an hour, shouldn't that have moved?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely. If the Earth rotates underneath the football, then the Earth rotates underneath your drone.
Yeah,
but it just doesn't.
That's only if you want 3 points in the field goal to count. But it sounds like Neil deGrasse Tyson has the Zinder effect from the last show you did.
That's what I mean. Nathan, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to put the. He can only put. he can get away with the single section of the doublespeak, and no one bats an eyelid except us. So he's not going to say the contradiction in terms that is the planes not having the Earth turning underneath them, or the drones not having the Earth turning underneath them, or the Earth not turning, because he's the high priest of that particular religion. So he's never going to say that, but he will put across the damning part of the rhetoric that we can never get the globeheads to just straight up admit to. So the Earth rotates underneath then, does it? Well, that's what he's actually asserting, but he'll get away with it, but that's because he's Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know, Zinder, as soon as he said it, he's screwed, because then it assists our argument, because the Earth doesn't rotate underneath this drone. It doesn't rotate underneath a ball. It doesn't rotate underneath a bullet. It doesn't rotate underneath an aeroplane. It doesn't rotate.
Is it working in a clip plane?
But he can get away with it because he doesn't have anybody challenging him on these points. He just says the Earth rotates under the football, and everybody just believes him because he's the guy that drops mics to prove gravity.
If you can pop yourselves on mute, just so Anthony's, I don't know if Anthony's set up. Yeah, Anthony's audio will come through.
This video I've got playing in the background here, can you see there? I was up about 150 meters. Do you want me to rewind it? Then I kind of came down a little bit. I wonder if you can see the same effect that you were showing on your last video.
Cool. Yeah, if you can cue that up, hopefully we'll hear Neil deGrasse Tyson from Anthony.
Yeah, let's do Neil deGrasse first, and then we'll come back to yours in a sec.
Got a sniper. Jonathan Doherty. Somebody get him.
Yeah, he's gone.
Well done.
Did anyone get removed?
He was my sniper.
I'm still here.
He's in the back chat.
Well, he's gone. Right, so this is Neil deGrasse talking about Coriolis. So let's hear what he says, because listen to how he makes it sound so like romantic almost. It's fantastic.
There it was. Tense, right? Everybody's silent, and the ball comes up, and it careens off the left upright and goes in for the win.
Wow.
And I said,
I remember this.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember this
That's
tweet.
what I'm saying. So I'm there, and I said, wait, this? How long is it? So I checked the stadium on its configuration, what's longitude and latitude, and I said, I did a quick calculation, and I tweeted, the winning field goal in that game was aided by a 1/3 of an inch deflection to the right from Earth's rotation.
So basically, why are footballs subject to it, but planes are not?
I don't find that funny. I know you're laughing. That makes my blood boil.
Yeah, the guy's an idiot.
You know, I've actually never heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard it before. I've cited it. It's a useful part of our argument. He's saying the Earth rotates underneath the football, so therefore the goal posts physically move as the Earth rotates, and the ball travels essentially in a straight line. So moving the goalposts as it travels. So this is the apparent deflection. You shoot a bullet, the bullet goes straight, the Earth rotates underneath. That's the most concise way of describing it. Well, if it rotates underneath a ball or a bullet, as asserted by these high priests of heliocentrism, then it also rotates underneath everything else that's in the air, not in that reference frame, not attached to the ground that's rotating. So the apparent deflection is the plane travels in a straight line and the Earth rotates underneath. Problem being it doesn't.
Yeah, so shout out to the Cornelius Force. I'm not going to call it Coriolis anymore. I'm going to deliberately mispronounce it as Cornelius just to piss off the ballers.
Well, that's not unfair.
Call it Cornholio.
No, Coriolis is real.
Force.
Hold on. The Coriolis effect is real. If you are on a roundabout and the roundabout is turning and you are holding a ball, the ball turns with the roundabout. Single, one reference frame. When you throw the ball and it was released from your hand, you continue to rotate underneath. The ball travels in a straight line, but from your position on the roundabout, the ball appears to take a curved path. It is not actually curving, it continues in a straight line, but because you rotate underneath the reference frame of the ball, it appears to curve. It's ultimately due to the reference frame underneath rotating. Now, the Coriolis effect is real. It's asserted that Earth has a Coriolis effect. The problem being that helicopters, drones, planes, or anything else that enters that second reference frame should experience the Earth rotate underneath. But it doesn't, because the Earth doesn't rotate.
So let's change topics. Mind, do you want to show us your video now?
It's playing. It's been playing for a while.
I know I've been watching it, but I'm hoping that he's going to get it to the point, the relative point.
Oh, I was just saying, there was a couple of shots on the video that I was up quite high and then was just coming down again. Just see.
Nathan, they also say that the atmosphere is attached to the Earth. So what about that on that field goal?
If the Earth and atmosphere are attached, then the Earth does not rotate underneath. So those people are basically disagreeing with Neil deGrasse's correct assertion of what should occur should we have a Coriolis effect. So again, I'll restate, the Coriolis effect is real. You can experience it by throwing a ball off a rotating platform and seeing that the ball appears, apparent deflection, it appears to deflect. It does not. So when Neil deGrasse Tyson asserts that the ball has gone into the goal because the Earth has rotated underneath, it's because the ball entered a second reference frame, 2 reference frames, in order for the ball to travel straight in 1 reference frame and the Earth to rotate underneath, second reference frame. So, those idiots who assert that the Earth is attached to the atmosphere, then there would be no Coriolis effect.
Most basic stuff, Nathan.
Hey, Ranty.
Hey,
man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. But how can the Globers not just get this very simple principle? It's so bloody obvious.
Fingers in their ears going la 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 la.
Just watch the video. Look at the girl interviewing Neil deGrasse Tyson. She's mesmerized. She's not even thinking critically. She's just following like sheep.
Yep. She's like one of the dick holders that are on the Ball Earth side. You know, like people that follow, for example, Fight the Flat Earth, for example. No matter what he says, they seem to just accept it. And I'm like, you guys are asleep. Wake up, guys.
Yeah, I thought we could see something on there, but yeah, I just wasn't hovering up. I was really just taking views here. I wasn't doing anything other than just trying to take some nice shots. So what I'll do this week, I'll try and get out and actually try and recreate that stuff for you, Anthony.
Great imagery. Drone footage is fantastic because 9 times out of 10 it's even better than people's handheld phone or whatever because it's stabilised. It's got a gimbal, so it's always smooth.
It's impossible to take bad drone footage.
I want a drone. I'd love to get one of them.
And Nathan, so what does the gimbal prove?
The gimbal itself? Well, the gimbal is like it's gyroscopic, so in the same way as the assertions that the gyroscope proves a flat plane still hold true regardless of the assertions that have come out beyond the curve, you still have the same principle apply. So if it's fixed in its reference frame and you travel across a curved surface, then the angle of the gyroscope would start to point up if it was fixed as you travelled across, because the ground is curving underneath the fixed frame of reference that the gyro's in. And if you can physically lock that to the horizon and then travel forward, you would notice that it's deviating because it's travelling across a curved surface. So the principles that are applied, whilst not scientific, are absolutely applicable. They're useful. They are being utilised by aviators in order to keep them straight and level. This is gyroscopic motion that we're talking about. Essentially, that's what a gimbal is.
Right, so because it's fixed in its position, once it's set on the Earth before the plane goes up, the gimbal is proving the flat Earth.
Absolutely. It's got another sniper doing Greek writing. Hopefully someone's going to grab him or her. So yeah, the principle of gyroscopic motion is still absolutely as sound as it ever was. The fact that it's unfortunately been hijacked and claimed to be scientific proof of Earth spinning, that's unfortunate. Shout out to Defund NASA for the super chat. Really, really appreciate your support. Yeah, where are we at?
I think we got wiped out.
Yeah, I just noticed that, so it might be a good opportunity to actually round out for a short break, and then I'll share the link in in the after show rather than boring the live audience with it. So with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this debate possible. If you're watching this on Nathan Oakley, then stay tuned. I might as well plug that channel. So if you actually want to watch the after show or the pre-show, then go and subscribe to Nathan Oakley. There is a link in the info box. But if you're watching on Nathan Oakley, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Hopefully not endless silence with me trying to share the link to people who don't want to join, because I've got it out in 3 minutes rather than 2. So also, I've already thanked the audience. Massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing and smashing the super chat. If you need something to keep you occupied after this live stream is over, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!